This is Optimal Relationships Daily, episode 2164, The Single Most Important Factor in Leading a Happy, Fulfilling Life, According to Science, Part 2, by Jay Harrington with becomingminimalist.com. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to ORD with me, your host and narrator, Greg Audino. And today we'll be finishing up a longer post we began yesterday, courtesy of Jay Harrington. I love the start it got off to and the Harvard study that it's inspired by. So without further ado, let's get right into part 2 and continue optimizing your life. The single most important factor in leading a happy, fulfilling life, according to science. Part 2, by Jay Harrington with becomingminimalist.com. The payoff from positive relationships. The benefits of having close, healthy relationships with members of one's immediate family are self-evident. A safe, secure, and loving family results in happy, independent children and parents who derive the satisfaction of having completed a job well done. The payoff from social and professional relationships may be less obvious, but are no less important. Consider the following historical examples of people leveraging close relationships into meaningful success. In the 1920s, Ernest Hemingway moved to Paris to join a group of expatriate, lost generation writers, including Gertrude Stein and F. Scott Fitzgerald, who had taken up residence in the left bank. They hung out at cafes, argued about politics, caroused late into the nights on the streets of Paris, and produced some of the greatest works of literature in the 20th century. In the 1970s, young and brash directors Francis Coppola, Martin Scorsese, Steven Spielberg, George Lucas, and Brian De Palma, known as the Movie Brats, took Hollywood by storm. They completed, collaborated, shared resources, worked on each other's films, gave critical feedback, and formed friendships. They transformed an industry because of, not despite, one another. A tribe of inspiring and supportive people can lift you up, hold you accountable, and inspire you to live to your greatest potential. As motivational speaker Jim Rohn famously observed, "We are the average of the 5 people we spend the most time with, so choose wisely." Implicit in this principle, of course, is the fact that it works both ways. If you fail to choose wisely and surround yourself with people who exhibit behaviors and habits that are inconsistent with your own desires, you'll have a hard time bucking the group's standards, as unappealing as they may be. For example, if you desire to lead a healthy and active lifestyle, you'll be hard-pressed to do so if your inner circle consists of couch potato friends who spend their days playing video games and eating junk food. On the other hand, if your friends are physically fit, you stand a much greater chance of being fit yourself, because the cultural norms of your group will influence your own behavior. Who you spend the most time with is who you are. Find the tribe that's right for you. Our instincts to fit in have ancient roots. For thousands of years, humans have lived in tribes in which it was essential to conform. To buck the tribe was to be shunned or cast out altogether, leading to great hardship. Modern culture is different, but from fraternities and sororities to sports teams and social groups, tribes still exist and still enforce social norms. Just ask a young college student who is pledging a fraternity whether participating in hazing rituals is optional, if you doubt the existence of modern tribes and their codes of social conduct. In this environment, faced with the expectations of a tribe, you have a few options. 1. Conform to the rules of the tribe. 2. Resist. Or 3. Find a new one. There's nothing inherently wrong with conforming to a tribe's social norms, as long as those norms align with your own desires. If you are living out of alignment with your desired values, and those around you are exemplifying the lifestyle you want to live, then the quickest way to get what you want is to surrender to the group's standards. But often the opposite is true. You want something different than what the group demands. In this scenario, surrendering to the group is sacrificing the life you desire. Another option is to resist the group, but this path is perilous. It's hard enough to change one's own thoughts and behaviors. Why take on the nearly impossible task of trying to change someone else's? The third way is to practice relationship minimalism, which is not always the path of least resistance. but is certainly the path of greatest benefit. Most people enter into relationships too haphazardly, or maintain existing ones by default. They rely on proximity or convenience to guide relationship decision-making, or are gripped by the inertia of the status quo. Finding the tribe that's right for you is not always easy. It requires careful consideration. Often it means making difficult decisions to part ways with those who don't align with your values. But isn't the payoff of lifelong happiness and fulfillment worth it? There are people out there who can bring real joy to your life, who you can share meaningful experiences with, and who will be there to lift you up when you need it. Cultivate a tribe in which your desired behavior is the normal behavior. Surround yourself with people who are leading lives you want to live. Here's how. First, use minimalism to shed the extraneous excesses that clutter your home and your mind. Cast aside harmful isms that are detracting, not adding value to your life and the lives of those around you. This will create the space and time necessary to tackle life's more important issues. Second, leverage your newfound mental bandwidth to think deeply about how you want to live your life. How do you want to spend your time? What makes you happy? What kind of person do you want to be? Third, make the hard decisions necessary to part ways with toxic people in your life, and scale back ambivalent relationships to make room for new, better aligned ones. Fourth, find people who exemplify the values and lifestyles you aspire to. Clusters of such people may already have found each other in formed groups, from book clubs to biking groups, centered around the activities and experiences that are consistent with your desires. Begin to engage. And fifth, take frequent, consistent steps to strengthen budding relationships with members of your newfound tribe. Show up, give back, express gratitude, let your guard down, be generous. Find your people, then never take them for granted. You will become a transformed and better person when you surround yourself with people who push, prod, and encourage you to reach new heights. Give of yourself to others who inspire you, and a delightful thing will happen. You'll get so much more than you could ever imagine in return. You just listened to part 2 of the post titled, "The Single Most Important Factor in Leading a Happy, Fulfilling Life, According to Science," by Jay Harrington with becomingminimalist.com. And be sure to stick around for my comments right after this. Okay, and a great one from Jay. It's nice to have heard it in its entirety now. I really hope that this post stays with you, everyone. You know, it is this very Harvard study he's talking about that has been so motivating to me to keep relationships at the center of my life, which of course includes hosting this show each and every day. I know that relationships are with us every day, and it's easy to take them for granted. You know, they can't be constant highlights, and their benefits aren't always as easy to see as the benefits we get, from our jobs, for example, monetary benefits. But they really are the engines that keep us going. And I thoroughly believe that if we don't emphasize them all throughout life, that we are likely to arrive at old age with the realization that we might never have prioritized the most important thing. So I implore you, believe in your relationships, tend to them, and keep them at the forefront of your decisions. They will guide you where you need to go. But that's going to do it for today, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. Thanks again to Jay and Becoming Minimalist for sharing this content. Have a terrific Wednesday, and be sure to come back tomorrow for a parenting post. That's where your optimal life awaits.